dark sacred night, and I think to myself, whoops, what a wonderful world. Hello everyone. Give me a second here to fix some technical, logistical things. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-bum. Hold on. It has been a day, I will say that. Hello everybody, welcome to another Monday night mini medicine card readings. I am Patrick, your friendly neighborhood shaman, and we are going to do some medicine cards. So, I've got people already saying yes. All right, so we've got Gage. So, for those who just joining us who have not been here before, don't know how this works, just to give you a chance, the first 6 people to come in and say yes in the comments get a 1-card medicine card reading. And the medicine cards, this lovely deck with the totem animals, a different animal on each card. And so if you want a 1-card reading, say yes in the comments. Otherwise, if you're not one of the first 6, or if you happen to be watching this on repeat, you are not out of luck. All you need to do is choose a number between 1 and 6, and then pay attention to that card. And I promise you that whatever message you need will be woven into whatever I say to the person that originally it was intended for. Spirit is awesome that way. So, all right, so let me catch up. So we've got Gage. Kim, hi Kim. Aaliyah. And Joe. Holy crap, I think we're gonna use up our 6. Anna. And Sylvia. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoot. Tiffany, I'm so sorry. Tiffany, I see your yes, but I've got 6 people already. So go ahead, choose a number between 1 and 6, and I promise you, and I'm not just putting you on. I'm not just trying to keep you watching, but if you choose a number between 1 and 6, I promise you that whatever I say is going to resonate with you as well. So I always feel bad. It's like I want to okay, well I'll pull one for you too, but we'd be here till midnight. So. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending this time with me. So I welcome you. I hope you enjoy your time here. I put a little, instead of the regular stream or river in the background, I actually put up one of the cat sitting videos so that if it's not your card, you have something to watch while I'm just jabbering on. You can watch the birds and the squirrels and the chipmunks. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is one of the highlights of my week. I am so grateful that people decide to come and spend this time with me. So thank you for making my Monday evenings a good thing. So, all right, our first card is for Gage. Let's see. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody. So, I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. All right. So here we go. Card number 1 for Gage. Oh, wow. All right, Gage. Our first card. I'm gonna try to keep writing down the counter numbers so that if you go back to find out what card was what, you can actually find it in the description. So anyway, card number 1 for Gage is Raven. To me, Raven is one of the most powerful cards in this deck. Not power over like D&D where you had, you know, Palantirs and fighters and elves and halflings, and some are more powerful than the others. I'm not talking that power over, but power as far as being one of the ones that is closest to source, closest to creator. That black, blue, shimmering, purpley glint of Raven's feathers is like the night sky. Is what we think of when we think of the universe, right? Like infinity. And that black of Raven is an embodiment of the black of the cosmos, that darkness, but not darkness as in evil. That's one thing that we really need to change. Dark does not equate bad or evil. This darkness I'm talking about is the darkness of the cosmic womb. I just heard a firecracker out there. I don't know if you heard that, but it was like, boom. Accentuate. Jazz hands. And so when Raven comes up, Raven is connected to all kinds of creation stories. And despite the blackness of Raven, and actually the blackness of Raven is because of his role as the light bringer. The most popular, most well-known story of Raven is probably the one where Raven steals fire from the sun. Like before that, the earth was in total darkness, and all the animals were tripping over each other, all the people were tripping over each other, and they needed light, they needed fire, they needed warmth. And so Raven went and stole fire from the sun. And before that, Raven had the most beautiful singing voice of all the birds. And Raven was also pure white, beautiful. But because he volunteered to go steal that fire, stole coals from the sun, as he's flying back to the earth, that the coals are flying back in his face, burning, charring his feathers to a black, going down his throat so that now all he can do is basically croak. But he is the light bringer. And it's like that, we think, so this might sound kind of odd to some people, but we always think of light as the source, but light comes out of the darkness. The darkness has to precede the light, because the darkness is the presence of all possible beings, all possible realities. It's not the absence of light, it is actually the presence of the whole spectrum of light together. And it's from that darkness that we pull out the threads of light. We pull out realities. We pull out what we're going to manifest. Um, as like the same thing that like music arises from silence. And it's the silence in between the notes that makes the music make sense. It keeps the notes from all running together to being just one loud boom at the beginning, right? Um, and so the darkness we're talking about here is the deepest, um, sparkliest, bibbity bobbity booiest magic that there is. It's the magic of pure potential coming into manifestation. It's kind of like that. There's that saying about how all things are possible with God. That's Raven. All things are possible. There is nothing that is impossible. Um, and it kind of it's interesting because as I was getting ready to come on, this sentence from the Seth books. If you've ever read the Seth books, I highly recommend. Um, one of the things that Seth says is the present is your point of power. The present is the only place you can manifest from. You can't go back and change the past. You can't fix anything. You can't jump ahead and just jump into something. You right now, the present moment is the only moment, right? This is where your power lies. And the thing about it is, so like in quantum physics, where all possible realities, all possible timelines exist at the same time, right? Anything that possibly can happen does happen in one dimension or another. The cosmic womb, right? And from our power in the present, we get to decide what we want to draw out of that darkness. We are the fire bringers, bringing that rainbow out of that pure black darkness. And you can only do it from the present, right? Like we sit in guilt or shame because of the past. We sit in anxiety or fear because we're in the future. But we can't do anything to change those, right? You can only change this moment. You're only in charge of this moment. The ironic thing is that when you start to manifest from this moment, you're connecting to a timeline. You're connecting, you're sending threads out into the future, right? When you set an intention, when you start to manifest, you settle on what you need or what you desire. I want this reality. I want to feel this. This is what I want to experience, right? And so you sit in this moment, and instead of going to the future to try to find that, you draw that future to you, and you feel those things in this moment, right? And then you let them go, and then like a rubber band, it slingshots back into the future, and it starts. You just anchored yourself in the future, and then by just paying attention to your present moment where your power is, the universe will guide you each step of the way. You'll get intuitive nudges. That's when the synchronicities happen. The right people at the right time show up, or the right circumstances show up to draw you into that future reality that you just pulled out of the darkness of the womb, right? The thing is, life is not linear. So when you send that thread into the future, you're also sending threads into the past. It's It's a circle. Everything is in a circle. Everything's in a spiral, right? So you can't just send it out in one direction. It's going to go out in all directions. And so by setting your intention in that particular future, staying in this present, you're also changing the past. Because depending on, like, say you want a new car, right? So you're focusing on that feeling of driving a brand new car. It's the perfect car, got everything you need, blah, 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 blah. And you let go of that in the future. You're sitting in that car in the future, but in this present moment. Well, by setting that intention in the future, you're drawing to yourself all the threads of the past, all the past timelines that need to come together for the right person to have bought this car back in, the 90s or whatever, and then just happens they have to be a mechanic, so they keep it up perfectly so that all the filters are clean, all of the oil changes have all been done, all the maintenance has been, so that when you find it, in the future, weeks or days from now, it's coming from the perfect past to match that perfect future. And you did that all from the present. You didn't go into the past to change the past. You drew to yourself a different past than what existed just a moment before that. The past is just as unwritten as the future is, which is why we haven't found Atlantis yet. And I think it was either Seth or Edgar Casey talks about how, we know it about it. It's kind of like the Mandela effect. It's like so many people have past life memories of Atlantis. It's such a part of our mythos, right? But we haven't found the solid evidence and stuff of it yet. And I think it was Seth said, because it hasn't happened in our current past yet. That when we change timelines, shift our focus to go in a different direction, the past that will line up with that will bring us into that timeline where we will suddenly stumble across Atlantis, right? So, in other words, God, I get so long-winded. I know I'm trying to keep things short, but so Gage, for Raven, for card number 1, if this is your card, you are sitting in the present moment in pure potential. You have an infinite number of choices, an infinite number of paths arrayed about you. And you have the power in this moment. Everybody right now, whether this is your card or not, close your eyes for a moment. No matter what you're feeling, no matter what's going on, take a deep breath and exhale the past. Exhale the day. As you inhale, arrive at the moment. Okay? From this moment, I want you to just choose something. What do you want to feel? Say, tomorrow. How do you want to feel tomorrow? And you're going to have thoughts coming up. You're going to have distractions coming up. Oh my God, tomorrow I've got that test, or I got to talk to the boss, or blah, 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 blah. That's fine. Let that be. Just don't get caught into that. And I want you to sink into your heart. And I want you to feel what you want to feel at the end of the day. So in this moment, picture yourself in bed tomorrow evening, sitting in bed, ready to go to sleep. And I want you to feel a sense of relief of everything working out during the day tomorrow. Feeling the sense, before you go to sleep, feeling that sense, oh my God, I can't believe it all worked out. Oh my God, that worked out better than I could have possibly hoped. And feel that feeling, no matter what other distractions or excuses your brain is throwing into the mix. Keep breathing into your heart. Arrive at this present moment and just feel. Feel the feeling of relief. Feel the feeling of peace. Feel the feeling of joy that you will feel tomorrow evening after having the most magnificent day you could possibly imagine. Okay? And just sit in that feeling. And when those thoughts come up, the excuses, realize that those are just distractions. That is not reality. Your brain does not give you reality. Your heart does. And in this moment, the moment present is your point of power. And in this moment, you are consciously deciding what you are going to experience in your day tomorrow. And some of you might be better than others, and if it doesn't seem to work out, that's okay too. This is a process. This is a learning process. Just do your best. And even if it's not perfect, just expect it to be better than it normally would, right? Like I've had a lot of friends in AA where it's like progress, not perfection. Continue to breathe into that reality. Call that reality to you. If you know Reiki or other energy healings, send Reiki, send energy, send love to your future self laying in bed tomorrow night. Send energy and Reiki to clear the clouds of confusion, to clear the clouds of distraction, and feel, connect to that person you will be, and feel the relief in your heart of that future aspect of yourself. And just keep breathing it in. Every inhale, feel your heart enlarging to experience more of that feeling, being able to receive more of that light. You know, and physically, feel the pillow beneath your head. Feel your blankets, you know, pulled up around you, cozy, cuddly. Feel the bed beneath you supporting your weight. And most of all, feel that sigh of relief when everything has worked out better than you could have imagined. Okay, and then one more deep breath in and hold it for a moment. And as you breathe out, let it go. We basically just drew back the bow, drew back the string, and when we breathe, exhale, we just release that arrow into the future with that line to it that will draw us forward with it. So let it go. If anything, if you think about tomorrow, just say there's always a completely harmonious solution. Everything is always working out for me. And if you have to think about tomorrow, focus in on the feeling of relief and joy that you are feeling laying in bed tomorrow night. And then let me know how it goes. I've never done that before, but let me know how that goes, okay? 'Cause I'm curious. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, you haven't failed. There is no getting this wrong. It's practice. Just like any passion, any desire to do something, to be an artist, to be a dancer, to be a singer, whatever, the only requirement is practice and passion. Hi, Gage. I'm good. You just missed your card. You're just in time to have just missed your card. I just finished. You got the Raven. So it's powerful. And I'm not even going to try to repeat what I just said. But I mean, I just did like a 25-minute dissertation on ravens. So when we're done here, you can watch the repeat, but it's good. It's good. Awesome. All right. So let us move on so that we are not here all night. So second card is for Kim. Kim, you wrote me a comment. Oh, wow, you saw it. That's the second time this week someone mentioned seeing a raven take another baby bird from the nest. And I don't, at the moment, I'm not sure. We tend to judge. We tend to be in our brains and our minds, which draw. Our brains are built to separate, and we tend to. So we live in kind of a duality reality, where our brain says it's either good or it's bad, and this is so difficult to say things like this because it can come out sounding cold or heartless. But like just thinking about that scenario literally breaks my heart. Like just thinking of that, thinking about the baby, thinking about the parents, etc. At the same time. There is only life. Death is an illusion. That doesn't help. Come on, guides, give me something profound to say. Ultimately, all beings are divine, all beings are spirit. And despite temporary, horrendous circumstances, there is always balance, there is always life, and the seeming harm is only temporary. It's the circle of life. You cannot focus on one small example, small circumstance, and judge the whole of creation. Actually, that fits. You know what, Kim? I'm not even going to pull a card for you because I know what card I'm going to talk about. Let's see if I can find it. So card number 2, let me write down the counter number. So Kim, card number 2, the one that popped into my head without the card, if I can find him, is Dragonfly. And I'll tell you why. There he is. This is different. I've never done this before. Like, I'm going to draw a card for you, but I'm going to find it in the deck first. So card number 2 officially for Kim is Dragonfly. So on the 4th of July, I went down to the river, as I often do, to do ceremony, do my pipe ceremony and such. And when I started doing ceremony, this little dragonfly kind of came in and landed on this log that was like 5 or 10 feet in front of me. I'm not really a good judge of space, but it was right in front of me. And it sat there almost the whole time I was doing ceremony, just looking at me. And every once in a while it would fly up in the air, kind of go around a little bit, and it would land right back on the log. usually facing me, like facing me head on. And so I started to talk to him to find out what was his message. And he started talking about his, those multifaceted eyes of Dragonfly, right? They can literally see in every direction at once. Kind of like the infinite potential of Raven, right? But they can see in every direction at once. And being the fourth, and in light of everything that's going on in the government at the moment, I was feeling a little despondent. I was feeling a little sad. Um, a little bit hopeless. Not much, but just a little bit. Like, oh my God. Not hopeless as in this is never going to get any better. But like, oh my God, this is so hard. It's taking longer than it should. Blah, blah, blah. And what Dragonfly told me is like, he's like, just like he has that sight, we have that ability to see all possibilities. We can see the whole picture. We can see, we can feel, we can sense the entirety of the universe, right? And so he's like, why are you focusing on this tiny bit right here and believing that that's all there is to reality? You can see around it. You can see in every other direction. You know that the scope of the universe dwarfs that little incident. So why are you focusing on that one incident that isn't working rather than focusing on everything else that is? And so that's the message here from Dragonfly is when you start to feel, not that, so like using that specific incident that you witnessed, right? The feeling that your feelings that came from that only prove that you're human, only prove that you have a big heart, right? Those are the natural feelings that come from that, right? And then without negating those feelings or demonizing the cause of those feelings, we have the ability to, again, sit in that present moment, you can ask for information or energy or whatever to help you see the bigger picture. Ask to see the bigger picture. Sit and just say, I know that there's more to this. If I am feeling anxious or sad or downtrodden by anything, that itself is a sense is a signal that I am not seeing the whole picture. Does that make sense? And actually, I've told this story many times. I don't think I've ever told it on YouTube, so I'll tell it for those who are maybe just finding me here. So the story of Dragonfly. Once upon a time, there was this great and mighty dragon. And like most dragons, he was very arrogant. He loved to boast about his prowess and his accomplishments and how powerful and magical he is. And one day, Coyote got really tired of hearing all this bragging. And he thought to himself that somebody needs to take him down a notch. And knowing of no one else that was better suited to the job, he volunteered himself. So he goes up to this big, mighty dragon and says, I bet you're not powerful enough to make yourself that big. And the dragon laughed in his face And to prove he was that powerful, he turned himself into a dragonfly. The thing is, when he turned into the dragonfly, he got caught in his own illusion. He began to believe he was just this small, frail body. He still had access to all his unlimited power and magic, but he believed that he was just that small and that he was frail and had no powers. And so when Dragonfly comes up, to me, it's a reminder that you are not just this frail, limited human body, right? Just like this is like the perfect example of that saying of how we are spirits having a human experience, or dragons having a dragonfly experience, not humans having a spiritual experience. You have access to that infinite power of Raven that we were just talking about earlier. You have access to all of that. But if you believe yourself to be this tiny, limited, powerless physical being, you're cutting yourself off from your source. And so it's to remember that you are powerful beyond measure, as Marianne Williamson said, and that playing small does not help anybody, right? You are infinite spirit who agreed to come and be in a limited body so that other people who believe that themselves are limited bodies had something to relate to, right? If you showed up in all of your power, all of your dragonness, right? People would either run for the hills, or they would start to worship you, because they don't see that in themselves. So you came in a form that other people can relate to. They can feel connected to you, and then you can open that. I was going to say sieve. You can open that channel and allow those words and that energy to flow through you to them, to help heal them, to ease them into that same realization that they too are spirit, not human, right? And I'm getting this message, don't be afraid to look at the pain. Pain always has a message. And it's usually through pain or discomfort that we actually grow, right? Kind of like, so there's parts of Dragonfly I don't usually come up, but if you didn't know this, Dragonfly is actually born in the water. They have a larval stage in the water, and like a butterfly, they create a chrysalis, and then in that chrysalis, they transform into a dragonfly. So there's this alchemical process that goes on with dragonfly, which I am sure is not comfortable. It's not. In the least, it's uncomfortable, especially when you find yourself encased in that and you're like bursting to get out, right? And so it's that sense of pressure coming in on us, making us feel smaller and more limited, that is actually our power rising within us, pushing out against our previous limits. I wrote a song many years ago. I'm in the process of I'm trying to get myself psyched up to pull my guitar out and start doing videos of the songs I wrote many years ago. But one of them is Nothing needs to change for the world to be a better place. It's just our old perceptions that we need replace. Take a look behind the curtain, see the love in every face. Nothing needs to change for the world to be a better place. It's all about perception, right? And even if we draw in the whole thing with the double slit experiment, if you don't know what, I don't want to take the extra time to explain it right now, but if you Google it, it is probably, to me, the most profound scientific experiment ever done. Where they were trying to decide, they're trying to figure out whether light is a wave or a particle. And what they discovered is that light responds to perception. If they weren't looking at light, if they weren't looking at it, even if they weren't actively looking at it, but had a camera recording it, no, wait, I'm getting it confused. So if they weren't looking at it, light acted as a wave, as a field, okay? If they were watching the experiment, or even if they had cameras recording it so that they could watch it later, light acted as a particle. It's the observation of reality that pulls it, this seems to be the theme tonight, pulls it out of that infinite potential field into one single place and time. It pulls the wave, the field of the wave of the light into a single particle in a specific place and time. So observation, perspective, perception, intention is everything. You literally change the world around you by simply observing it. And I'm currently in this course with Martha Beck, who I often quote in these videos, but she did an exercise with us the last time where we just basically went through, we sat quietly, eyes closed and everything. And instead of like going through one piece, one part of the body at a time, relaxing it, relaxing, releasing, releasing, we went through every part of the body from the feet up and just observed it, just felt it. And just through the act of observation, of feeling, of perceiving, if there was tension in that part, and it wasn't necessarily instantaneous, but by holding that attention, by feeling it, by observing it, it relaxed and the tension released. Your observation changes everything. And so don't limit yourself to a single perspective. When something seems not right, or it makes you cringe or whatever, ask for a higher perspective. Call on those multifaceted eyeballs of the dragonfly to see what's going on around it, to put it into context, right? Because the raven also needs to feed its children, etc., etc. I'm not going to go back into that or anything, but observe whatever it is, right? And that's like I always say, instead of fighting your demons, invite them in for tea. Because we're just sitting with them without resisting them, it just had 4 on the counter. Without resisting them, they disperse on their own. They disappear. They have no more power. It's when we fight something that we give it power, right? Because you're lowering your, to fight something, you have to lower your frequency to go head to head with something. And if you're head to head with something, it's going to be a struggle. There's no winning, right? Until you, like Einstein said, like you can't solve a problem with the same energy that created the problem. You have to expand that energy in order to solve whatever that problem is. So in bringing in that bigger picture, you solve whatever the challenge is, you find answers, etc., etc. So I hope that makes sense. I know there was a lot of rambling in that. And I'm hoping I'm going to get you out of here before midnight at this point. Very verbose. So, all right. Card number 3 for Leah. Everyone say hi to Key. Kira's here helping me. Actually, she's begging for food, but there's food over in her dish. It's just been sitting there for a little bit. So she wants fresh food. Oh, you are so welcome, Kim. I'm glad that was helpful. Now Kira's like, okay, I'll eat the dry food. My wet food's been sitting there for a bit and it's kind of dried out. So I want fresh, but I'll eat the dry food, the kibble, if I can't have my wet food. I will feed you again when I'm done here, K-Cat. All right, card number 3 for Aaliyah. All right. Card number 3 for Aaliyah is Squirrel. This is permission from the universe to be your squirrely, weird self. Keep being squirrely. If anything, the world needs more squirreliness. You know, keep that sense of play. And kind of like what I was just talking about with that, you know, fighting things and needing to expand that energy. Playfulness, joyfulness is how we raise our frequency. And so it's when we approach challenges or problems or whatever with that sense of play, that sense of, okay, let's see what I can do. That's how we raise ourselves above it and see a bigger picture within which whatever that challenge is can be solved or resolved or healed or transmuted. You know, and I always use the Dalai Lama as the example. But, you know, the Dalai Lama is possibly the most enlightened being on the planet, right? at the same time, he can't go for 5 minutes without giggling like a kid, right? Um, Enlightenment, high frequency, etc., goes hand in hand with humor and play. Um, because just like our previous card, the Dragonfly, right? This life here is a cosmic joke, just from the standpoint that we take it seriously, that we forget who we actually are as spirit. Not that there aren't horrendous things that happen, not that, it's all rainbows and unicorns. Well, it actually is, but I'm not going to go into that. But where was I going with that? So this whole world, physical reality is temporal. It's temporary. It's of time. We are beyond time. Who we are, our essence, just like the essence of the universe, the fabric of the universe is love. That's who we are. In our most, deepest, intrinsic essence, we are love. I feel like I'm missing out on some of the animals. Let's go do that. Um, and so it's not, see, and here comes that duality mind again. It's like a lot of people are like, oh, I can ignore the physical world because it's all an illusion. It doesn't really matter. And so I can just screw up my life and it doesn't matter. And I mean, technically there is nothing wrong with that, right? If that's what someone came here to experience, more power to them. I'm trying to get my phone right. But if you're watching this, chances are that you're feeling those incongruencies and those inconsistencies, and you want to know the deeper truth. You're not satisfied with just the cover story of the temporal of this life. And you beat me to the punch, Aaliyah. I was just going to say that quote. That is exactly, so Oscar Wilde, my favorite quote from Oscar Wilde, life is too important to be taken seriously. Um, and it all kind of comes back again and around to um, that the universe is on your side. There is nothing intrinsically evil in the universe. There is nothing intrinsically set against you. Like, and I just saw someone else say this online somewhere, but I think it was, I want to say Ram Dass, but I think a lot of people have said this. It's like the total number of minds and hearts in the universe are one. There's only one of us here. We are all different aspects of God, and we tend to focus on the difference, on the facets, on the aspects, etc., forgetting that where we all came from, we are all part of the same energy matrix, right? And so there's only one energy system. There's not two forces fighting it out till the end of time to see who gets the upper hand. There's your squirrel. Um, There's only one of us here. The universe is on your side, right? And like someone reminded me yesterday, something that I'd said in the past, but it's like we talk about ourselves and our higher selves, you know, as if they were two separate things. Like we're fighting our higher. It's like, why can you do that to me? Why did you make this happen? When there is no separation. Our higher self's will is our will. And so to stop fighting that and play with it, experiment. Life is meant to be played at. It's like, oh, whoops, that didn't work out. Let me try it this way. Like a kid in a sandbox, trying different ways to build a sandcastle or whatever, right? When you get that higher perspective, this world is a joke, you know. And I always like to bring up years and years ago, my favorite aunt died, and I shouldn't say that. I still have aunts alive. I love them all, but the one that I was closest to, um, she used to watch me when I was a little kid and everything. I used to get to go out on her farm, and she'd watch me while my mom was at work and teaching and stuff. But she died a number of years ago. And so that day I kept checking in on her to see how she was doing, right? Make sure she made her transition all right, make sure she didn't need any help, you know, just to see how she was, etc. And every single time that I tuned into her, all I heard was laughter. The only words I actually heard her say were stuff like, I can't believe I believed that. How could I possibly have thought that was real? And then laughter. You know, um, and so it's like the bigger picture of spirit and the smaller picture of physical reality are not two extremes, they're not two different things vying for attention. The physical reality is totally couched in the bigger spiritual reality. They're one. There is no separation, right? And so it's because of the bigger space held by that bigger reality of spirit that gives meaning to what happens in physical reality. It gives context to what happens in physical reality. And so we're here to play. We're here to have to expand as much as we can our awareness of who we are as spirit, and at the same time enjoy this playground that is the physical world. From some perspective, this is Disneyland, right? Your dreams, your thoughts, your desires manifest in the physical world. We just have to learn to dream a different dream. Um, and so keep playing. That's the message. I know I go off at all these tangents and stuff. The main message is keep playing. You're doing great. Don't let anyone don't let anyone convince you that you should be doing anything else. Our only responsibility is to move toward joy, right? Yes, there are horrendous things going on in the planet right now. There are people, horrible, horrible things happening. But but the only way to transmute that to shift that, to heal that, is through joy. You can't fight. Oh, thanks for putting that one in my head. Dream a little dream of me. Thanks. I won't sing that one. I'll be good. Um, what was I saying? See, now you distracted me. But don't let anyone convince you that you should be anything but joyful. Every bit of joy we bring into the world makes that much more joy available to everyone in the world. And if we are to take, if we take things too seriously, we're just lowering our vibration, and then there's no answer because we're caught head to head trying to fight these things, and we're just giving it power by fighting it. You have to expand, you have to open up and look for a greater perspective. Hi, Joe. So I hope that's helpful, Aaliyah. And now it's Joe. Joe just popped on. You're so welcome, Aaliyah. So now we go to card number 4 for Joe. All right, card number 4 for Joe is Weasel in reverse. Oh, you need that video feed? Just if you go onto YouTube and search for cat sitter videos. There's all kinds of them with chipmunks and birds. They even have some with deer and different things. And when she's not distracted by food, Kira will be over here with her hands up on the screen, trying to pet the chipmunks and stuff. So card number 4 is Weasel in reverse. And so this is our theme tonight. So Weasel in reverse is usually a sense of overwhelm, of overthinking, right? Like all of the cards up to this point have had a point of saying that, well, I think it was Kafka, it was like, you can know the world without leaving, I can know the world without leaving my house. And it's kind of that holographic model of the universe, right? Where every part of a hologram contains the entire hologram. You contain the universe within you, right? And that's why self-healing is world healing. Because if you're seeing it outside of yourself, there is something that is reflecting on the inside of yourself. And when you can shift that on the inside, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that necessarily like the wars will cease in the Middle East or whatever. It could happen. And it will happen at some point. But if nothing else, your perception of the world shifts. And like I just said earlier, perception is what dictates reality. So Um, Getting back to the, you know, and so you contain the universe within you. You need go no further than yourself to know what's going on. And yet, Weasel, okay, I'm trying to like get what's the pathway into getting to weasel medicine. Weasel is about intuition. I always think of Weasel as kind of like the secret agent of the animal kingdom because he's so swift and weaselly, right? He finds out things. He learns secrets. He knows everything that is going on around him. Because he's into everything, right? If you've ever seen a weasel, I remember watching a weasel at the Minnesota Zoo one time, and it was a rather small enclosure, but like within like 5 minutes, that single little weasel had covered every square inch of that enclosure. They just never stop moving. They are so familiar with their surroundings and the mechanics of their world that that's what allows them to zip 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 zip, right, without tripping and that kind of thing. But in reverse, it could be Weasel like being so overwhelmed by all of that knowledge of his place that he doesn't know which way to go. um, and it so God, I get so many different threads coming through. um, so this is kind of similar to what I talk about like with Black Panther medicine, but it's like this is putting the importance on what you're supposed to do from outside of you. What is your mission? What do you have to do to live up to the bar that's been set by someone else or by some deity in the sky far away someplace, which freezes you in place. You don't know which way to go. Or realizing every possible path has been laid out before you, and you are the one with the power to decide which direction to go in. In reverse, in reverse, I just feel with Weasel so much exhaustion because a lot of times when Weasel comes up in reverse, it's because the person is aware of all the different permutations of every possible act that they do. And they're so busy, it's like, okay, I have this choice. And they run to the end of the road on that choice and then run all the way back to here. And then, or I have this choice and they run all the way down to the end of that road and all the way back to here. And then and I've got this choice and they run all the way down to the end of the road and all the way back here. It's exhausting. It's like you're physically doing the footwork of what your intuition already knows. In other words, trust your heart. And when every possible pathway is laid at your feet, in every moment, right, there is no wrong turn. There is no point. There is no point where the point of power is not your present. If you make a decision to go down this road, and say a mile down that road, you decide, oh, this doesn't feel right. At that point, you still have an infinite number of paths around you to choose. You are never stuck. You can always course correct. You can always go in a different direction because the present is your point of power. In every moment, you have an infinite number of paths. Your present, your future is not dependent on what you did in some past time, whether it's a past life or just 5 minutes ago. You can always change in a different direction. Leah, you're so funny. He's like, Patrick just called you out. And so it's like with a GPS system, right? I'm always talking about the cosmic GPS system, where you set your destination by setting your intention, and then you let go. That's what we did earlier with the Raven card at the very beginning of this, right? We just set our destination into the cosmic GPS. And then we let go and we trust the GPS, we trust our intuition to nudge us in the right directions. Whether it's a feeling, whether it's something we read, whether it's someone telling us something, or we meet someone we've never met before and they head us on a different trajectory. We trust that the universe is moving us with every step toward that way. And the thing is, even if you make a wrong turn, the universe, just like your GPS, does not judge you. It doesn't go, oh, you're screwed. You can't get there now. I can't help you. No. The universe goes rerouting, and it figures out the quickest, easiest route to get you back to the main way. And so if you don't know which way to go, just choose one. The GPS can't help you unless you're moving, because the GPS doesn't know which direction you're facing, right? Until you start moving, the GPS doesn't know which direction you're pointing in. And so it can't help you get there until you start to move. So just start moving. And again, the universe is on your side. The cards are stacked in your favor. You can't get this wrong. And no matter what you do, right? When my other favorite affirmation, only good can come of this. Even if I make what I think is a wrong turn, and I'm saying this like thinking back on my life, there has never been a wrong turn that I have made, quote unquote, wrong turn, that didn't lead to some bigger wisdom, to some bigger revelation that helped jumpstart me further down the line. You might not realize it at the moment. In fact, you probably won't, because you need that space of perspective, right? But at some point, you will realize that you were never off of your path, that there are no accidents. And no matter where you are whole, you are divine, you are high frequency, you are eternal, you are indestructible. So keep on keeping on. You got this. Just like a friend used to say all the time, it's easier to steer a car when it's moving. If you're sitting in a car, it's hard to turn the wheels. Now you've got power steering, it's a little different. But it's easier to steer a car. If the car is moving, it's easier to turn that wheel and get the car to move, to turn, right? When you're sitting still, it's harder to get the wheels to actually turn. You have to really crank it. So start moving, and then you can come back around. So, You are so welcome. You are so very welcome. All right, so coming up on card number 5 for Anna. And in case there's anyone new, you're wondering what the heck we're doing, every Monday night I do this at 6 o'clock Pacific. And for the first 6 people to say yes in the comments, they get a 1 card reading from the medicine card deck. And if you are not one of the first 6, or if you're watching this on repeat, you can choose a number between 1 and 6, and I promise that your message will be woven into whatever else I say, because as you see, I have a tendency to talk, and I'm very loquacious, and so everything I say isn't necessarily pointed at the person who chose that card. If you come in later and choose, say, card number 3, and then watch that card, there's going to be things on there that didn't apply to the person it was aimed at, because it was aimed at you. Because in your present, in your point of power, you are creating your reality. And so whatever message you need will create whatever past version of this video is needed for you to get your message. So there. All right. And please, I had to say before, please subscribe and like my videos. If you haven't already, that helps me expand my influence, expand my audience, helps other people to find me and everything. And so I thank you for that. And we're coming up on card number 5 for Anna. And I'm writing down the counter numbers of when I'm pulling cards so that I can put that in the description. So if you choose, watching this on rewind, you can say, I want card number 5, and then you have to wait like an hour, hour and a half to find out what your card is. I'm putting those in. But I just had the thought, I want to take those counter numbers and average them and find out what is the length of my average, the average 1 card reading. Or just out of curiosity. So, hi Blue Ocean, thank you. I'm glad you're here. All right, so card number 5 for Anna. Ha ha! So card number 5, just like card number 1, is Raven. Okay. Give me a second, because every time the cards come up, even if it's the same card coming up, there's usually a different aspect or a different slant to it. So give me a second to kind of tune in on what specifically your message is. All right, so one of the biggest differences between ravens and crows, and again, this is like the, this is just guideline, not rules, right? This isn't a solid, in fact, this is the way ravens are, and this is the way crows are. But one of the things that sets ravens and crows apart is the fact that crows tend to be more social. They show up in bigger groups, and they're more urban. You find them in cities and suburbs and that kind of thing. Whereas ravens are more solitary, and they tend to stay in pairs. Ocean Blue Ocean, cool. This is card number 5, so I'm glad, I love that you chose number 6, so you still have your message coming up. We'll get to you another day. And so there's this sense, there's, how do I put this? You know, they're both magical, but ravens tend to be more hermit-like, more needing more solitude, away from people. Um, and this is interesting. That I don't know where this came from, um, but um, ravens are bigger than crows. Um, and what came into my head, what I heard my guide say, is that ravens need more space to spread their wings because they're bigger, and that because crows are communal, they're smaller because they don't have to be, they're not on their own, they don't need all that space because they're so more social animals. But you need space to spread your wings. You need space to soar and to fly. And so that is so important to you. It's so important for you. And the thing is, and we've talked about this, if that's what feeds you, if that's what nurtures you, if that is what you need to be who you are, to be your full potential, then it is for the highest good of everyone on the planet, of your community, of your family, for you to seek that out. Others may not understand it, others may get upset at it, but it is the last thing from selfish. The world needs your light, right? The world needs you to fill out your potential, to pull from that infinite potential the light bringer that is Raven. Your job is to bring light to the world. And you can only do that when you're in touch with that infinite field of potential. So you, and I don't say this word lightly, you need solitude. And it's only through solitude that you can best serve your family and your community and the world at large. Oh, hi, Amelia. How do I say your name? Amelia. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy my videos. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Thank you. And so we think we have to sacrifice the best parts of ourselves for the sake of the community. That we have to toe the line. We have to be, the good wife or the good husband or the good worker. We have to make sure we're not causing waves or rocking the boat. But if being authentic to who we are rocks the boat, that boat needs to be rocked. Does that make sense? The only way this world will change and heal is for more and more people to become more authentic, more aligned, and to live from that place of wholeness and authenticity, no matter what the consequences are in the outside world, right? Because I've said this. You were in my class when I did this. We like in my shamanic classes. Um, I kind of took some time off from this course. I sometimes do this year-long course in shamanism, a monthly course, and one of the classes we connect to our true selves. We do a shamanic journey to meet our true selves and to merge with our true selves. And our true selves, it's like our blueprint. It's like who we are with every potential fully manifested. And that blueprint, that true self exists, right? And that's kind of the bar we aim for, whether consciously or not, when we're going through life. And so when we do that and you merge, I always have my students meet their true self and get a message from them, like what do they need to know right now? And then I have them merge with that true self. And then what I do that I do differently from most other journeys, instead of stopping the drumming and having them come back out of the journey, I tell them to open their eyes, still in journey, still merged with their true self. And number one, to look around the room and see what it looks like from the perspective of their true self. Are there different colors? Do they see different motions? Do they see other beings, etc.? And then to look at each other and to realize that in this room of, say, a half dozen people or whatever the number of students is, there is enough space for everybody's true self to exist there at the same time. There is always space for you to be your true self. What was the quote I heard? Lisa Williams, and one of her, she does a blog that's awesome. I recommend it on YouTube. But it was one of her recent ones. What was it that she said? You don't owe anybody your smaller self. You don't owe anybody to be a limited, smaller version of who you truly are. And that's what I mean at the end of my videos when I say go shining. It's like, be your true self. Shine your light, right? You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. There's a little light in all of us by God's design. And you can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. We're not here to hide. The time of hiding is over. The time of secrecy is over. This is the time of history on this planet that we came to shine the truth of everybody. And we do that by shining the truth of ourselves out loud, right? So go shining, don't hold back. If it feels right to your heart, just like bringing in that weasel medicine from a card or two ago, last card, your intuition knows, your heart knows what is the right action. If your heart says to do something, even though it may hurt someone else or someone else might take it the wrong way, if your heart says yes, your heart is what connects you to them, which connects you to all living beings, to the heart of all humanity. So if your heart says yes, Your heart has already done the calculation of what is for the highest good of everybody. And like Carson Kressley from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, um, on his other show, he did a show called How to Look at Naked, I think is what it was called. But he always told the people that came on his show that your responsibility is the presentation. You are not responsible for how people receive it. How people receive it is their responsibility. And going back to the dragonfly card for Kim earlier, right? If you receive something and it makes you feel small, it makes you feel powerless or whatever, then it's time to ask for a higher perspective or higher picture to put that smaller vision into context. That's their responsibility. You don't owe anyone an explanation of who you are, of what you're doing, of what you need to do. That's between you and Creator. And however they take it, that is their lesson. And even if they get, especially if they get upset by something you do, that's their lesson. You're actually planting the seed. Because you in that moment are reflecting something in them that isn't awakened yet. And that's where their upset comes from, because they recognize it. They resonate with it on some level. Their truer self, right? But they're down here. And so not living up to their potential makes them feel shame, makes them feel anger, makes them feel less than. But that's the feeling they need to expand beyond in order to heal and transmute that. Your job is not to get them there. Your job is to present your full self, right? And the thing is, the more authentic and true you get, the more clear the mirror is that you become for others. And so when others hate you or are angry at you, that's not a reflection, literally, on who you are, but on who they are. And they need that reflection, because that's you become in their world, their true self speaking to them about what's possible, of what they came here to do. And it's up to them to decide whether they're ready to do that or not, or if they're going to continue to rail against it, in whatever way they choose. So be yourself, be true to yourself. That's the best thing you can do for everyone, right? And by that, you bring the light. You are the light bringer, like Raven, and you bring the light. Like I said, there's more people waking up on the planet right now than ever before. One of the challenges is that a lot of people are not morning people, right? They're waking up, but they don't want. They're like, "What the hell is this? I don't want to." Like 5 more minutes, right? They don't want to wake up yet, but they're waking up. They can't help it. And so your job is not to quiet your light, dim your light so they can go back to sleep. Your job is to shine unapologetically. The sun doesn't say, "Oh, you're tired. I'm going to go back down. I'll come back up, in 10 minutes or something. I'll give you." The sun rises when it rises. And we are the ones who choose how we respond to that dawning sunlight. Whether we're going to grumble, whether we're being like, "Okay, I need to get up. I'm still tired. I'll have a coffee," or whatever. We deal with it, or I'm going to close the curtains so I can sleep longer, put on an eye mask. It's our choice how we respond to that light. It's their choice how they respond to your light. You are not responsible for their actions or their reactions. Just shine. Shine. Okay? Hi, Kit Kat. I'm almost done. I'll get you some food in a minute, okay? All right, last card, card number 6 for Sivia. Now I got shine on, harvest moon for me and my gal. Like they say, like in the Bible, it's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness, right? You don't hide your light under a bushel. Okay. All right, Sivia, card number 6. Ha! All right, so card number 6 for Sivia is the ant. Ha! This is interesting because ant is, how do I put this into words? So you think about ant, you think about teamwork, about how every ant, like, so you've got this tiny little ant carrying this tiny little piece of leaf in his mouth. You're welcome, Anna. But there are millions of other ants carrying millions of other tiny little leaves in their mandibles, and by each one carrying what they're responsible for, this one single little leaf, the entire anthill gets fed. Um, and so similar to what I said earlier, it's like you're even though, like when ant comes up for people, it tends to be a sign that they are mentally, emotionally, spiritually stronger than other people, right? Just like the ant can lift, what is it, 10 times its own body weight? The thing is, that doesn't make you responsible for carrying other people's stuff. It means being open, having those avenues available when they are needed to help others. But if you're weighing yourself down, carrying the weight of the world, of everybody else, then you're not helping anybody, especially yourself. Like there's a saying I heard not too long ago, no able-bodied adult should be carried to the top of the mountain. You know, and it kind of just, that reminds me of another little story I heard about how this kid got onto a city bus. He had this big, heavy backpack on, and he's standing there, you know, holding the pole or whatever. And a woman sitting there looked at him, and she was like, "You know, the bus is strong enough to carry both you and your pack. You can put your pack down. You don't have to keep carrying your pack while you're on the bus. The bus is carrying it. You don't have to double up and carry the pack." Does that make sense? And so it's like, pay attention to just what you're responsible for. And I'm still trying to figure out how to put into words this next part because this is kind of like what ties it to all the other cards tonight. But so you think of ants as being so industrious, right? They have these complex ant hills, and everyone has their own speciality, what they do, and it works in harmony together. And through this harmony, these intricate ant hills with all kinds of different layers and levels and chambers that serve different purposes, etc., get built and thrive, right? They don't thrive by certain ants doing all the work. They don't thrive by some ants doing other people's work or carrying. You never see ants carrying other ants unless they're injured or dead. And so it's like in every ant, every individual ant, there is the greater blueprint of the anthill. And by each one following their particular directions, their particular element of that blueprint, the entire anthill gets built. But it takes time, right? It's a progress, it's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so again, this brings us back, circles back to that place of the present is your point of power. And I was just reminded of I had an art prof in college, and he, God bless him, he was my least favorite prof, but he did leave me with a piece of wisdom that I still hold on to this day. He said, when you're creating art, you should create it in a way that you could stop at any moment and it will be complete. And I love that so much. Rather than, living every day as if it were your last, which kind of brings, at least in my mind, brings a sense of desperation. Like, okay, I got to get this done in case this is my last chance to do this thing or whatever. But to live your life so that it could end at any moment and it would be complete. In other words, if you are present in every moment is complete in itself. Yes, it takes a long time to build that anthill, but every step of the way, the ants aren't lesser because it's not finished yet, right? Every step of the way is a complete step of its own to get to that final blueprint, that true self, right? If we bring all those metaphors together. And so no matter where you are in that process of moving toward that true self, of moving toward that anthill, you are exactly in the right place at the right time. There's no place else for you to be. Again, the present is your point of power. And there's nothing wrong with you if, you suddenly go off and join the circus or something, right? It's like, this is so cliched. I've been trying to avoid saying it, but it's the journey, not the destination. And life is meant to be an adventure. It's like that, thinking about the blueprints for the anthill, or if you think about the blueprints for a building, right? That building exists in every moment. Part of it may be physical, and part of it might just be in thought, in a nebulous potential, but that building exists. And no matter where you are, that building is complete. I don't know if that's exactly where I was going with that. Give me a second. But those say, you know, you've got this building being built. You've got the electricians, you've got the plumbers, you've got the tinsmiths, you got all these different people. And their job, like they are who they are because of how do I put this? I'm having all these things coming in, and I'm having trouble putting them into linear words. My dad was an electrician, and I'm not. But he didn't always love his job, but he always loved his job. He was good at what he did. And he became an electrician so he could do electrical work, right? He didn't become an electrician so he could do one project and finish it and say, done, I made it, I got there. You become an electrician to do electrical work. I'm a cartoonist. When I get finished with one page, I'm like on to the next page. I'm not doing it. It's good to have those, like, okay, I finished a page. It's like, it's a milestone. It's a touch mark, whatever, touchstone. And then I move to the next one, and then to the next one. But the point of being an artist is to create art. You're not working on your true self necessarily to finally reach that true self. You're working on yourself to become better than you were, right? It's play. On some level, in some dimension, you are already perfect. You're already divine. And that is part of the reason we come into a physical reality, to face challenges of, you know, forgetting that and working from the ground up, just like the ants, to build this anthill, and to unfold this journey of remembering. It's all already there. We're just we're trying. We came here, like we came here to experience being human. We came here to experience human experiences. So no matter what we do in this world, it's perfect. It's exactly what needed to be experienced. I think I'm going way off on tangents right now. But again, it's that perfection that gives meaning to that limited earthly experience, right? Like they talk about, it's death that gives meaning to living. If we live forever, there would be no point. And so and just like in art, it's like artists sometimes purposely seek out limitations. They seek out um, well, like, so me as a cartoonist, it's like, okay, I love my guys, I love my characters. What would they do if this happened and this happened? How would they respond? Right? And so it's purposely seeking out certain limits in order to discover our limitlessness to get beyond those limits. That's what this life is about. And I don't know if I fully understand what I just said. But like for instance, one of my favorite lessons in art in college was our professor created this still life model that we had to paint from, right? And it was pure white. It was like a white statue. There was a skull. There was something else. It was all pure white. White was the only color we could not use in the painting. That's where play comes in. Those limitations, those little challenges, that's the game. Games have rules because that's the context within which we learn, in which we excel. And so artists seek out, like, how do you paint a white painting without using white? And that was one of my favorite lessons ever, because it made me look at that white statue, and all of a sudden I started to see the little red tinges in the shadow and a little bit of blue over here, and then they kind of cast a pink little bit onto the skull or whatever. And it's those limitations that help us to see the bigger picture sometimes. So, I'm gonna end it there because I could go in so many different directions, and I can tell my brain's getting a little tired. So, but I hope that is helpful. I hope that makes sense. Um, Plus, we're running out. We're almost at 2 hours, and I always I try to I try to make these an hour and a half, and I never succeed. And now we're about to go over 2 hours. So one more card. That's all 6 cards, but I'm going to pull one more for the community. Our community card. This is the totem that is going to accompany us as a group, as a circle, as a community this week, and what medicine it is bringing to help us. And while I'm shuffling, just to remind you, if you haven't already, you're welcome, Sivia. My pleasure. Um, you know what? Just to add on to that, those limitations, like how do I paint a white model without using white? It's the questions through which we find answers. Like there would be no readings if you didn't come here seeking answers, having questions, right? And it's those questions that bring meaning to what I say. I could be sitting here just babbling off all by myself. It wouldn't mean anything. But it's the questions that you bring, that you are seeking out, that gives meaning and draws out of me a new understanding. I learned so much tonight from what I said, what I hear myself saying. I learned a lot, and I wouldn't know more than I did at the beginning if it weren't for you and the questions you brought with you. So, ta-da. Anyway, so please subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on my different videos. And like I said, one of my goals is to pull out my old guitar and to do some videos of some of the old songs that I wrote. Um, and I want to do like a story time kind of thing, like a bedtime story. I want to do some, like I've done a couple before where I'm just kind of taking you for a walk through the woods and I'm just kind of talking, whatever comes through stuff. So there's more of these videos of readings, there's ceremonies, there's songs, there's stories. So please subscribe, enjoy my channel, like my videos. That helps me to expand my voice, expand my influence. It makes the algorithm so that more people can find me. Um, and that was kind of my purpose. I just recently moved from Facebook Live to YouTube Live, stepping out of my comfort zone to expand. And so you can help me with that by sharing my video, by liking, by subscribing. And if you would like to support me in a different way, if you enjoy my videos, enjoy my work, and you want to support your friendly neighborhood shaman, I also have my PayPal and Venmo links in the description under this video. Anything you give, this is my day job. So everything that comes in goes straight to me, living my path, finding my own lessons, so that I have more to share with you, etc. That reciprocity where I support the community, that supports me, that I support, that supports me. I love that. So, and thank you for your generosity, anything you wish to give. And I hope you come back next week. And if you didn't know, I actually do 2 videos a week. My other video I do on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And that is the sacred pipe ceremony. You might know it as the peace pipe, right? But it's a Lakota ceremony. The sacred pipe is the most sacred medicine object to the Lakota. And I do a ceremony with it every Wednesday night at 6 right here on my YouTube channel. And so if that sounds interesting, come check it out. I basically do the ceremony to hold space for people, to let the world off their shoulders for an hour or so, to connect to spirit. And it is, growing up Catholic, becoming pagan, and then realizing I was a shaman, ceremony and ritual have been a daily part of my life since I literally was born. And the sacred pipe ceremony is the most profound ceremony that I personally have ever experienced or know of. And so come check it out if you're curious. Everybody's welcome, non-denominational. And I every time it seems like it's more powerful than the last. So I would welcome you to come see that. All right, our last card, so that I stop yamming. All right, we got Hummingbird in reverse. So, Hummingbird is joy. And so in reverse, it's a reminder, like a friend of mine always told his students, when you're doing something, the thing to ask is, does this have heart? If it doesn't have heart, stop doing it. If it has heart, there is joy. Joy is the compass. Joy is what tells us our purpose, what we came here to do, who we came here to be. But we tend, because of our upbringing, because of our society, we put joy on the sidelines, thinking it's a reward for hard work. When if we set joy as our priority, as what we're aiming for, life would be a lot easier. Things come smoother. And it's like that Joseph Campbell quote I love to quote: when you follow your bliss, where there were only walls, doors will open. And I have personally experienced that so many times that I don't even question it anymore. So seek joy, just like hummingbird, seeking out the sweet spots in life. Let go of, think about how small and light hummingbird is. Hummingbird has no baggage. Drop the baggage. If it's too heavy, put it down. If it's weighing you down, drop it. Seek the joy. You know, they survive on the nectar of flowers. Seek out the sweet spots in life. Let the sweet spots be your landmarks rather than exhaustion and hard work and pleasing others. Abraham Hicks talks about how joy is the path of least resistance. That is what we seek, right? We seek to relax. We seek, but we're so resistant to who we actually are, what we're actually trying to create. But it's in joy. I said it earlier with squirrel medicine, right? It's through play that we raise our frequency. Joy is what raises our frequency. So when you're here and you experience joy, you start raising your frequency, you have a bigger perspective. You have more options. You can see things more clearly. Rather than staying down here, head to head, trying to eke out an existence in a system that's set against you, allow that joy to drop the heaviness from your life, to raise you up to the point where you can see where you're supposed to go and you can actually seek out those sweet spots. All right? All right, we had a long one tonight. I thank you so very much for joining me, especially those who have perseverance to go through this whole thing with me. This, of course, when we're done here, this will get posted on my YouTube channel, where you can watch it again. I am going to put the counter numbers when I get a chance on the description, so you can find the particular card you chose without having to weed through the whole thing. But again, please share my video, subscribe and like my videos. If you wish to reciprocate in another way, wish to support my work and what I do as your friendly neighborhood shaman, you can check out my PayPal and Venmo. Also, if you want readings or healings or teachings, oh my, check out my website, perchingwolfstudios.net, where you can learn more about me. You can see examples of my comics that I mentioned earlier. You can see all the different shamanic offerings I have. Um, more card readings, shamanic healings, like soul retrieval, fairy doctoring, Reiki, etc. And I also do classes. I don't have any scheduled at the moment, but I've got some in the works. And I also do one-on-one mentoring. If you're interested in finding a teacher to help you, especially if you're like newly awakened or you're stuck, don't know which way to go, it would be my greatest honor to help you find your own heart path, to help you sort through the confusion and find that joy, find that direction that you came here with. So, and you can connect with me through my website. There's a contact page. You can sign up. There's a scheduling connection, links to my scheduling. So I can't wait to help you. I can't wait to grow together, right? I mean, every time I do a reading for someone, I learn something about myself. Every time I heal somebody or do a healing with somebody, I get healed as well. So it's a beautiful walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. So I have kept you long enough. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your energy. I hope to see you next week. Invite your friends. Until I see you again, know that I love you, that I see you, that I honor you. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and go shining. All right. Bye now.